We're going to be talking about branding today. And so this is a very creative presentation. We're going to be talking about things you often hear a lot in an e-commerce presentation about our feelings, right? About love and all kind of stuff. So this is a very creative type of presentation. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. Hey guys, man, I'm excited to be here. They put me after the Canadian technical guy. I am not Canadian and I am not technical, okay? So this is the exact opposite presentation. But Brad, good job on the presentation. I learned a lot from that. We're going to be talking about, where's the clicker here? We're going to be talking about branding today. And so this is a very creative presentation. We're going to be talking about things you often hear a lot in an e-commerce presentation about our feelings, right? About love and all kind of stuff. So this is a very creative type of presentation. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. But, you know, Supro, raise your hand. Supro's from my team. Supro and I flew in last night to Austin. And Supro, you had an encounter in the bathroom, right, in Austin. And so we got off the airport, and we both saw this guy in the bathroom. And he was looking at himself in the mirror, and he said, you're good looking, over and over and over, right? And so Supro was like, what is this? I said, look, it's Austin, man, it's weird. Okay, and here's our first weird guy. And Karthik, I invited him to the convention. He did not come. Okay, I was going to put him right there in the front row, a little moral support, tell me how good looking I am, but he didn't do it. But I'm going to be talking about 4 ways to differentiate your emerging brand. We're going to be talking about what a brand even is, and let's talk about what an emerging brand is. You know, anytime you think about something that's emerging, I talked to my dad earlier today. I said, Dad, I'm going to be talking about emerging brands and how you can really get yourself out there. And any advice for me? He said, well, son, it's all about openness. He said, you have to be open. You've got to express yourself. You got to be creative. But you have to be open to what others are saying too. You got to be vulnerable. And so he reminded me of a story, and it was, I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable with you. He said, Eric, I remember, he said, you and I were talking, and you were in junior high. He said, like you just said in the introduction, I'm an artist. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, do you think I can make it as an artist? Do you think I can make it? You know, some of us are wondering today, can my business make it? Can I succeed? Can I make it as an artist? And he said, son, there are artists, and then there's artists. If you're going to make it as an artist, you've got to develop yourself. And I looked down, I never will forget this. He reminded me of it. I said, Dad, that means then I have to be the best. He said, that's right. So today, guys, we're talking about developing ourselves, developing our brands, not just to be a brand, but to be the brand to beat. And so when you think about emerging brands, some of you, I talked to a merchant the other day, he said, man, my brand has been emerging for the last 25 years. I'm still trying to figure it out. And some brands are new to the scene. You know, they just came up with something they want to start selling. So how do you differentiate? Let's get into it. First question is, what is brand? Everybody has a different definition of brand, so let's talk about what your brand is not. First thing it's not is your products. Oftentimes I'll talk to a business owner and say, tell me about your brand. Tell me about what's going on. And they'll start talking about our products, or our products are the best at this, and we do this. Your brand is not your products. Next thing they start talking about is their logo. Okay, well, we spend a lot of time on our brand, and they start talking about their graphics and the logo that they had created and that sort of thing. Your brand is not what you say it is. Okay, you can talk all day long, my brand is this, my brand is that, but just like my dad said earlier, your brand is dependent on openness to what other people are saying. So let's talk about what brand is. Your brand is not what you say it is, it's what they say it is. Okay, you can say all day long, we've got great customer service, we do this, our quality is through the roof. But if your customers are saying something completely different, that's what matters. Would you agree with that? Give me a nod if you agree with that. It's not about just what you say it is. What are your customers saying? Because collectively, they define the brand. Okay? Now, by the way, we've got a saying from the South, okay? I can't really pronounce with me or with you, so it comes out like wimmy and weya, okay? Okay? So let's practice here. I'm gonna say, are you wimmy? Are you with me? Are you wimmy? And your response is, I'm weya, okay? You're honorary rednecks today. Austin is not the South, okay? It's just like its own country. You've got Texas and Florida and then the South, okay? So are you with me? Are you with me? And your response is what? I'm with you. Are you with, all right? So are you guys with me? You with, give us some enthusiasm. I'm giving you all I got. Are you guys with me? All right, you with me. All right. So your brand is what they say it is. Brand, let's look at this. Brand is everything, not one thing or another. It's everything about you that distinguishes itself in the minds and hearts of your customer. It's the total experience. Again, it's not one thing or another. So the title of this presentation is a little bit redundant. How do you differentiate your emerging brand? Well, to me, brand is another word for differentiation. Just think about that. When you think about brand, think about differentiation. And I want to encourage you guys to resist the temptation to copy others' success. Just like Evan was saying a while ago. Can you make me like Amazon? How ridiculous is that, you know? You have to forge your own path. Forge your own brand identity. Forge your own success. And authenticity is what it takes to make a brand succeed. Are you the real deal? Are you trying to copy somebody? You know, we're talking about corporate brands and that kind of thing, but guys, I'm looking out at this crowd. You have a brand. How you look, how you walk, how you talk. You have a personal brand. Whether you know it or not, you're a brand strategist. Are you with me? Look at your neighbor and say, I'm a brand strategist. How about you? Look at them. I'm a brand strategist. How about you? I am. I live and breathe. I love brand. But guys, we all need to love brand because you have a brand. Now, you may be developing it or not. You may be a poor brand strategist, but you are one. So let's talk about the 4 ways, starting with the first way. Embrace your number one differentiator, and we just talked about it, yourself. You are your company's number one differentiator. Collectively, your culture, Karthik talked about that earlier. We'll talk a lot about culture here. There's only one of you. Nobody can replicate you. And so when you embrace that uniqueness, that helps the differentiation. So it'd be nice, when you think about brand strategy, if we were mind controllers. But as we know, we can't control what people think. But let's talk about what we can do. You can influence how they think. You're an influencer. You're a brand influencer. I won't make you say that to your neighbor, but you are a brand influencer. And this is where it gets touchy-feely. Okay? I'm a touchy-feely guy. I'm not going to touch you, but I'm up here saying I'm a touchy-feely guy. I'm encouraging you to think about how people feel. This is emotive, guys. This is all about emotions. And we in e-commerce love talking about strategy and very intellectual concepts. And you have to do that. Okay? You need the guys like Brad to talk about cloud infrastructure. But if you're talking about building a brand, you've got to be the double brain person. You've got to think about the creativity as well as the intellectual concepts. And a lot of folks in e-commerce don't like doing that. They're uncomfortable talking about that. Good. I want you uncomfortable. In my company, EYStudios, we talk a lot about creative friction. We don't always get along. We'll disagree. And I encourage that. I don't want a hive mind. I want people to challenge each other and look for what's best. Again, if you want to be the best artist, the best brand strategist, the best whatever, you're going to hit conflict. But you got to think about how your customers are feeling. Because buying, look at this, buying is an emotional process. You know it and I know it. You got to think about it, but it's about feeling this. Do I want to buy this? Do I feel the need to buy this? It's emotional. So let's look at you've heard this phrase, it's part of this complete breakfast. We're talking about strategy. So we got growth. Oh man, we're all thinking about how we grow our business, how we grow our pocketbooks, what changes involved, what do I got to do to get there? Looking at my team at their performance level. What do we got to do to innovate? Oh my gosh, we like Karthik said, if we don't do that, you're dead. You have to innovate. We all know that. Nobody's arguing with that. It's very true. And you got to execute. What are we doing to execute? But your customer don't care. They don't care about your strategy. They don't think about that. They don't care how much money you're making. You do. You're thinking about your brand story. They're not. What are they thinking about? They're thinking about one thing and one thing only, themselves. And they should. Would you expect anything different? They're thinking about their lives, their business. What can you do to impact them? Another thing my dad always told me, he said, Eric, there's two types of people, son. There's givers and takers. And when you give, you can't give enough. Givers light up the room. You know, when you walk into the room, does the room light up? Or does the room light up when you leave? Right? But there's givers and takers. And takers can't take enough. It's insatiable. It's all about their needs. But man, there's something about it. When you focus on others' needs, that's what's satisfactory. I love this quote from Peter Drucker. He says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. We've talked about culture today. They read my notes, I guess. But culture is what it's about. If you can get everybody on the same page and your values mirror each other, we're not all going to agree. We have different backgrounds, different religious beliefs, social outlooks. We're all different. But as a culture, where can we align? That's what eats strategy for breakfast. So all that stuff is good. You got to think about it. It's important. But what is your culture cranking out? When you think about emotions, here's a question I want you to ask. How can your culture uniquely empathize with what customers are feeling? Again, I'm going to be vulnerable before you here. I got on a phone call 2 weeks ago with an upset client. I wish I could say every client's super happy. This client was upset. And he gave me insight on something that I believe that I personally had dropped the ball on. And as a result, as a leader, I'd not enforced this enough with my people. So I take the bullet for it. But he said something very profound. He said, Eric, the reason why I hired you guys is your empathy. That blew me out of the water. He didn't say, well, we hired you guys because you're the best in design and development and you got a great team. He said, Eric, I want you to care about my needs. Okay? I don't have time to think about all this stuff. That's what I pay you guys for. But I need you to know where I'm hurting, where I'm confused. How can you help me? He said, I'm not planning on going anywhere. I love you guys. But I need the empathy, man. I need you to feel what I'm feeling. And that's not rhetoric. That's not just me getting on the stage talking about what you need to do. That's coming directly from one of my clients. So you better believe that hit me right between the eyes. And it said to me, Eric, you can't forget about the emotion. You can't forget about the empathy. Because if you do, you're going to ignore and alienate somebody. And we can't afford that. So what is your cultural DNA? As you look introspective, as you look at your company, what is the DNA of your culture? Here's questions I want you to ask yourselves. What about your values are meaningful to your customers? They may be meaningful to you and to your culture, but what about your values can your customers rally around? Go, yes, yes, that's what I like. That's what I'm passionate about. Do you know what those are? I just mentioned one to you. Empathy is key to our culture. And if we forget about it, it's at our risk. What are the brand promises? This is key, guys. What are your brand promises that you can be trusted to deliver on? You can't just say, great customer service, fast shipping, right? Be a little bit more specific than that. Who doesn't say they've got great service, right? You slow shipping. You know, they're not going to say that. Everybody's saying the same stuff. So what can you say? You know, oftentimes I'll talk to a client, to a merchant, tell me about your business. What I really like is when I'm visiting clients in person. I go to their warehouse, go to their customer service staff. That's when you get the good stuff, okay? Get out of the C-suite. Go talk to the people on the floor. They'll tell you about the business. They'll tell you about the problems with the website. But when you start thinking about brand promises, this is what we do best, and we do this, this, and this. I listen to all of it. It's really good, good stuff. But I'll turn to the merchant and say, that's not on your website. That's not on your social media. None of what you just said is out there. You're making these brand promises, and nobody knows you're making them. You're not putting it out there. What is the unique way your culture handles customer service? How do you do it? You know, I talk to merchants. Some people want to answer the phone, some don't. Don't put my toll-free on there. I don't want to take these calls. And some love it. They want the calls. What's your culture like? You know, how do you handle customer service? What's unique is a differentiator for your brand? Here's a second way. Don't skimp on the brand polish. You can't. I talk to B2B clients all the time that just think all you got to do is put a website up. Put the basics up there. Oh, it's B2B. They don't care about any of that creative stuff. Wrong. You know, you have to. You can't skimp. Now, this is a picture of kind of what South Mississippi looks like, okay? You have a broken, beat-down car. My dad has one. I don't know why. It's my first truck that he gave me. He's got that truck in his yard. You can't be an official redneck until you've got, like, a broken-down car in your yard, okay? I don't know if they have that in Texas, Devin, but they got them in Mississippi, okay? And my wife won't let me do it, but I'll keep working on her. But guys, when you have a website, you've got a car. But what kind of car is it? Is it something you're embarrassed to be seen in? Does it work? How does it look? Are you taking care of the thing? That's brand polish. So here's the first one. Prioritize your site design user experience. By the way, this is a real website, lingscars.com. Don't look at it right now, but after this, go check it. It's bad, okay? There's like animated GIFs and Ling, you know. But you have to prioritize your site design, guys. Design matters. Color theory, it matters. Talk about feelings. You choose the wrong color, you're sunk. Okay, these things matter to the overall experience. Invest in quality photography. You got to, guys. I can't tell you how many sites I come across. They got a great product, but you wouldn't know by looking at the photography. It's terrible. You got to invest in that kind of stuff. It matters. People pay attention to that. Pay attention to the packaging. Most people just throw it in the box. Here you go. You know, when you make a brand promise, even if you've got a great presentation on the site, people buy, and you finally get that thing on your doorstep, what is the experience there? Are you putting any kind of branding in it, on it? Do you care about the packaging? It's at that point that the brand becomes real. It's tactile. You can hold it. It's there. Right? So what do you got to do to get there? So here's some tips for good content. Karthik said earlier, you got to have content. He's exactly right. Write content like humans really talk. How many B2B sites that I've seen at B2C that are just, they're incomprehensible, right? It feels like you're doing homework on the sites. You got to write like people really talk. Keep the presentation tight and directional. Okay? You got good content, but tighten it up. Edit it a little bit. I always say, here's a good tip for you. No matter what layout that you're on, product page, checkout, homepage, each layout has a specific direction to the customer. If you're compounding that direction, you're sunk. You're giving them too many directions. So keep in mind best practice for legibility. Look at typography. Look at that kind of stuff. Third way, show what people love about you. Do people love you? Hopefully you're saying, yes, they love me. I am good looking, right? They love me. What do people love about you? Well, show it. Ask yourself, ask your culture, where's the love? What about your brand experience inspires love? Everybody wants love. What are you doing to inspire it? Right? We love to receive it. What are you doing to inspire it? And incorporate the love. Once you got it, let's talk about this. Utilize content based on real reactions, not fakery. What are people really saying about you? And that's what makes your merchandising feel real. Now, merchandising, particularly in a B2B atmosphere, typically out the window. You know, the common conceit is that people know what they want. They don't care about any of the merchandising. Just give me the product, get out of here. No, you got to think about it. Merchandising is just messaging. How do you put it out there? It's education, not just selling. What do people need to know about your brand? Don't assume customers are just focused on your products. That's the main thing. Because if you do, you've commoditized everything. Okay? Brand is about lifting that up beyond just a commodity. Add some visuals. If you got some great reviews, add some visuals. Put some video, put some pictures to it. People are visual thinkers. Get creative about how you can do that for your brand. You've heard about social proof. Let's talk very quickly. Ways to build it up. Make it easy, first of all, for people to leave a review. Send them a link. It's easy. Build community. Oh, here we go. I'll build a community. I got to take care of my employees, get the product out the door. Build the community. If people love your brand, enough of them, that's a community. So build it, invest in it. Showcase customer reviews on your site or social media. It's great brand messaging. And get an incentive out there. If you leave me a review, here you go. Here's some points. Fourth way, learn how to tell your story. Is your story compelling? Do people care about your story? Learn how to tell it, right? So omnichannel, we hear a lot about omnichannel these days. Tell your story in multiple ways all over the place. Now you got to be careful, specifically with omnichannel concepts. Don't go crazy. Look for specific ways that you can still tell your story really well. Okay, you don't have to tell it everywhere. You may not be a TikTok superstar, okay? But look for ways that you can tell your story across different channels. Be consistent, but respective of the channel. Don't try and do everything. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's just like you got to focus, build upon the success. I know one merchant is doing really well with Facebook, and he's branching out. Build a base. Go from there. Slowly build your brand momentum and tell your story in a short, meaningful manner. This is just a screen grab from one of our clients. This is stuff that their customers care about. This is from a geek merchandise type of store, and it's run by geeks. They got a lot of product. They've been around for a while. Tell it quickly. This is a picture of my buddy Jason, good client of ours. He runs DLT trading. It says, show your love for your products. This guy, Jason, he is not only an expert, but he loves his products. He sells knives. He loves knives. And here's the thing. His customers see the love. They recognize the love. This is a sad part. I can't tell you how many merchants I encounter that don't really like their product. They like making money, but they don't like their product. Are you passionate about your product? No, I don't care about this stuff. And it shows. You're not going to build a community. You're not going to build a brand. There's no love there because you don't love it. You have to first love your stuff. I love what I do. Hopefully it shows. This is what Jason does. And when customers see your love, they see your expertise. That's it. Let that sink in. Love equates expertise. It really does. And they buy more, which is what we care about, based on your culture's trusted advice. They trust you because they're passionate about the same stuff you're passionate about. That promotes trust. And so it grows to meet yours. And maybe from this call, from this talk, maybe you need to grow. But the good thing is it equates to what the customers need to do with their passion. So the last point is what I've already said. Guys, just like my dad told me, Eric, if you want to be an artist, be the best one out there. You got to grow. You got to develop yourself. You got to be open. You got to be vulnerable. Each of you has a brand. You have a personal brand and a corporate brand that you're representing. Is it just there? Or are you fashioning this to be the brand to beat? My encouragement is to go for it, to be the best. Get creative. Get passionate. If you've lost your passion, get it back. Surround yourself with people that can inspire you, to encourage you. That's what culture is all about. And when you do, you will become the brand to beat. Thank you very much.